welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher.
So let's jump right into it.
We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is cracking YouTube? This is your boy Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and I want to welcome you guys back for another video here on the channel. Today we're checking out some Instagram sales over the past month, see what's shaking, see what's selling. But like always, before we get into that video, I remind you guys, if you're not a current sub of the channel, do yourself a favor, hit that sub button, you will not regret it. Do me a solid, smash the like button. Let's get this video out there to everyone in the community so they can see what comics are selling for what prices on IG. Let's get into it. All right, so first up, we're going to be checking out Elite Comics 11, the leader in Instagram online sales. And the first book I noticed that sold for them was this X-Men number 12, the first appearance of the Juggernaut in a 2.5 cream to off-white pages. Now, they had this book listed for $325 shipped via a fee-free payment. If you guys don't know, all these consignment pages use fee-free payments, so they don't incur any charges whatsoever. With that said, we checked out the GPA analysis, and as you can see, the last sale on a 2.5 was last month for $290. The 90-day again was that $290 because only one sale occurred in that time frame that has been recorded by GPA, so don't forget that, right? GPA only tracks CGC sales. The 12-month rolling average, $404 on 7 sales. 2023 averages $412, and way back in 2022, $484. So this book is definitely still coming down. Up next, how about a modern key? Here we have a copy of Invincible number 1 in a CGC 9.2 with white pages that was listed for $850. Now, as you guys know, we don't know what the actual sale prices are. With that said, we check out GPA for a 9.2, and a last sale occurred for this one in April of this year, a couple of months back, for $1,000. So this seems to be a little bit of a steal that this person got on this book. Let's keep going. The 90-day average was that $1,000 because, again, only one copy sold of this book. The 12-month rolling average, $968. In 2023, $938, and in 2022, $1,143. Seems to me like this book has been pretty steady over that time frame. Go ahead and look at the chart towards the bottom of the GPA profile. You can see that it's actually basing right now, so if you're interested in picking up an Invincible 1, now may be the time. Sticking with Elite, here we have a copy of The Walking Dead number 1 in a CGC 9.8 with white pages. Now, their ask on Elite Comics 11 was $2,199. Let's see what GPA says. The last sale for this book, believe it or not, was $2,225 just last month. The 90-day average, though, all the way up at $2,434. The 12-month rolling average, $2,698. 2023, the average is $2,845. But in 2022, like when everything went nuts, this book sold for $2,947. But I want you to check out the chart below. You can see the prices ranging from 2004 all the way to right now. What you're seeing is a mild increase over time. Yes, there's definitely a lot of fluctuations in price, which I always say timing is everything. But if you're a long-term holder, the slope is up, albeit it's pretty steady. You're not getting a huge jump in price on this one. And the last book, or should I say set of books from Elite Comics 11, is this set of Wolverine number 1 through 4 from the limited series, but they're all signed by the great Chris Claremont. Now, you guys know I hate buying Wolverine number 1 in super high grade. I think it's a waste of money, and I think this person got an absolute steal for what they paid. Elite was asking $325 for this complete set with all 4 books signed for by Chris Claremont. One in a 9.0, one in an 8.0, one in a 7.5, and hell, one at a 7.0. Let's get every grade point in there, which I think is great. Let's check out what GPA says for a Wolverine number 1 in a 9.0 signed by Chris Claremont. The last sale for that that book alone, just that book, was $119. Then 90-day, $119 again, 12-month rolling average, $116, 2023, $131, and all the way back in 2022, $171. Just to pay for Chris Claremont's signatures, I have no idea what they cost, but it's got to be more than $300 in my opinion for him to sign 4 books, and then let alone go ahead and buy those books. Each one, if you paid $50 for each, I think each one, if you paid $50 for each raw, then had them signed, submitted to CGC, you're definitely getting a better deal. You're definitely getting a better deal buying all these as a set signed from Elite Comics 11 than doing it separate. Up next, let's check out a few books from Diamond Comic Club, and we're going to start with The Master of Kung Fu. No, not Mr. Miyagi. No, not Jackie Chan. We're talking about Shang-Chi and his first appearance, and I nearly hit the floor when I saw what this book sold for. They had a CGC 5.5 with off-white to white pages that they were asking only $149 for this book. Now, I remember way back when I first got back into collecting, I bought my copy, which ended up being an 8.0 for $75. So this book still has gone up since then, but for $149, I thought that was really cheap for this book. Either way, as you check out GPA, you can see the last sale was only $139 back in May. The 12-month rolling average is $144. In 2023, $166. But in 2022, this book was double the price, nearly $300, coming in at $290. Check out the graph below. You can see the spike. This book in a 5.5 went all the way to $800. That's how hot this book was. Now back down to reality. Unfortunately, I think if you're a Shang-Chi fan and you like collecting bronze keys for $150, I'm all over it. So up next, let's talk about the King of the Bronze Age. You know what the book is. It is, of course, Incredible Hulk number 181 and the first full appearance of Wolverine. Diamond Comic Club was offering up a CGC 3.0 cream to off-white pages. They had this book listed for $1,699 and it sold right away. Now, as you check the GPA analysis, you can see the last sale for this book was a whopping $2,283. Yes, there is tape on the interior cover of this book, so that may play a factor on why it sold for such a cheap price. The 90-day average for this one, $2,154. The 12-month rolling average, $2,143. In 2023, it was $2,190, but all the way back in 2022, $2,720. We did get a boost from this last sale, so it looks like this book is starting to base a little bit, hopefully heading higher soon. Let's check out the graph below. You can see it's definitely been basing since the end of last year to the beginning mid portion of 2024. So like I always say, if you're a 20-year buyer and you want to own this book, now may be the time. If you don't want to hold for 20 years, I would say hold off till after Deadpool 3 comes out. So the last book from Diamond Comic Club we're going to cover is this book right here, The King of the Copper Age. No, we're not talking about TMNT number 1. We're talking about a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 300, the direct edition in a CGC 9.4 with off-white to white pages that was listed on Diamond Comic Club for $549. That seems to be a steal to me, but let's check GPA and check it out. You can go ahead and see the last sale for a 9.4 sold for $699 just this month. Then 90-day average, $611. The 12-month rolling, $669. In 2023, the average is $734, but way back in 2022, the average was $977. So this book has still come down about 30% in just under 2 years. So again, we have some basing right now, but it seems to be right in line with the overall chart, heading higher over the long term. But like I always say with this book, there are so many copies out there. We're not talking about money if you want to own it. Just buy it because you love the character, because you love the cover, and because it's an awesome book. So we're going to finish this video off talking about a bunch of books from a new IG seller that we're covering here on this video. It is Ali Collectibles. If you guys are not following him, he has been posting some major bangers as of late, and we are going to start with this one. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 1, but the annual, and they sold a CGC 3.0 with off-white to white pages, and they had it listed for $599. With that said, I haven't checked on this book in quite a while. I remember I used used to own it way back when, and I'm happy I sold it when I did because I know this book has really dropped a lot over that time frame. Either way, according to GPA, the last sale on this book was $460 back in March. The 90-day average was exactly the same. The 12-month rolling average, $593. In 2023, $695, but check out 2022, where the average was $1,278. Man, this book has come down about 60-something%. I hope you guys didn't buy this book way back when. I know if you're a Spidey fan, it's a great book, first appearance of the Sinister Six, but I mean, come on, this book has come down way too far, way too quickly. Either way, for $5.99, I'm hoping whoever bought this book got a little bit of a deal considering the last sale was under $500. Up next, let's talk about a book that has picked up a little bit of steam, and it is this one. It is a copy of Fantastic Four, number 49, and the first full appearance of Galactus. Now here we have a CGC 4.5 with off-white to white pages, offered by Ali Collectibles for $499. Now, the last sale on this one, according to GPA, is right in line with the listing, $500 from May of this year. The 90-day average, $511. The 12-month rolling average, $579. And in 2023, the average was $703. Way back in 2022, look at that average all the way up at $1,058. This book has taken a 50% haircut, but I see right now that a lot of people are trying to claim this book on live sales. I do not think $500 is a bad asking price for this one, especially if you're willing to hold for the long term, and that is what I'm suggesting. Don't be buying these books right now if you're not willing to do that. Speaking of books that are starting to get hot, how about this one? It is a copy of Tomb of Dracula number 10 and the first appearance of Blade, but not only that, this book in super high grade, a CGC 9.0 with off-white to white pages, and look at the centering on this book, absolutely beautiful. They had it offered up for $1,750. Now let's check out GPA. The last sale on a 9.0 was all the way up at $2,175 just last month. So Ali Collectibles definitely offering up some deals on some big books. The 90-day average, $2,312. The 12-month rolling average, $2,302. In 2023, the average is $2,618. And holy crap, 2022 was not a good year if you were buying comics back then, all the way up at $4,025. This book has been cut in half, but hey, I'm seeing this book selling every time I turn on a live stream, so now may be the time if you're a long-term holder. Either way, we know Blade is coming to the MCU. Up next is some more fire from Ali Collectibles and one of my favorite books of all time. And this one, in my opinion, was an absolute steal. Here we have a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 3, the first appearance of Doc Ock. This one was in a CGC 1.0 with off-white pages. Now, for $8.99, anytime you could find this book that's complete and it looks pretty good, yes, I do believe there's some tape residue or tape on the outside portion of this book affecting the cover. But like I said, to find this book for under $1,000 to me is a pretty good deal. Let's check out GPA and see what it says. In a 1.0, the last sale for this book was a cool $1,000. It really hasn't changed much since 2022, where the average was $1,500. But check out the sales total. Only one copy in 2022, 4 in 2023, 6 over the last 12 months, and 1 over the past 90 days. That to me is crazy. Either way, if you want to own silver Amazing Spider-Man keys, which I think personally is the way to go if you're a big Spidey fan, buying any grade if the book's complete and no resto for the best deal that you can get is always the way to go. Now, when I saw this, I was super sad that I did not see it earlier because I would have been all over claiming this book. Here we have a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 20, the first appearance of the Scorpion, but it is signed by Stan Lee. How often do you see this book or any Silver Age early Amazing Spider-Man key signed by the great Stan Lee? This one in a CGC 4.0 with off-white to white pages. Presents absolutely beautiful. They were offering it up for $999 shipped. Now, there was barely any CGC data that I could find for this book. I did find a 4.0 signed by Stan Lee, but the last sale, believe it or not, was in 2021 for $1,440. So there is no data on this book, but because it's signed by Stan Lee, because it's a first appearance Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man key, I think paying $1,000 or probably under, let's be real, nobody pays full price price for books right now in this market. I think they did a hell of a job. I would have snatched this one up from my collection if I saw it. Great buy by the person who bought this one. And the last book we're going to be covering today, and from Ali Collectibles, is this copy of Batman with Robin, number 232, the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. But not only that, this book was signed and sketched by the late, great Neil Adams. It is a CGC 8.5 with off-white to white pages. Now, I love Neil Adams signed books, especially when they're keys, and they were asking $1,099. And I want you guys to keep in mind, we don't know what these books sold for. None of them. I am not privy to any information out there regarding these books. I'm just going by the list price and the last prices sold according to GPA. And believe it or not, this book in an 8.5 signed and remarked by Neil Adams hasn't come up for sale since November of 2020, and it sold for $730. So to me, if you paid $1,000 or less to get a book that is super scarce, that is signed and sketched, I'm all over it, considering Neil is no longer with us. I think anytime you can get a signed Neil Adams book and it's sketched and it's from a key, always worth it in my opinion. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. I put out the Instagram sales video about once a month just to see what's selling in all the big consignment pages. I know there's some other books that have sold, but I like to cover some of the big boys here on the channel because it really does tell you where the market is going. I think signed books right now are all the rage, especially with the new JSA and CGC program, but I think any books out there that you want to own for your collection for the long term, whether they're keys or they're just books that you love and want them in their collection, I think now is a decent time to start buying things. I think if you're going to buy older Silver Age keys, try to get the ones that you really have an affinity for, and I think adding signatures to those books or those books that have already been signed, that may be the way to go if you're into signature series books. Regardless, I want to leave you with one thing, okay? You guys know out there, we're looking to buy collections here on the channel. If you have books from the Golden Age all the way up through the Copper Age, do yourself a favor. My contact email is in the description of every video. Don't be afraid to reach out. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.